What is this? Is this grandmother's couch? No, it's Isaac Anderson. And who is this?
I am Tyler. I got the blank shirt king.
And this is a movie show where we talk about movie news.
Movie reviews.
And everything in between. You were almost late on that.
But look at me. Today, this is the first day I've not worn something without anything on the front of it.
I mean, you've worn that shirt for like at least 8 days straight.
Yeah, I have, but there's like no
I don't even
words
have
on
to
it.
smell it. I can look at it and it has a scent. That's too strong.
That is not my scent. That is someone else's scent, sir. This is not my shirt.
Well, that's just gross.
Okay.
But guys, thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We hope you don't smell Tyler's stench to the camera, but we all here can. But speaking about stench, Ford versus Ferrari just came out with a new trailer. And yes, we talked about it last week, but we're going to talk about it again.
Again.
So, I believe we're going to have the trailer play right behind us in just a second. But Tyler, you've seen the trailer, right?
Yes, I believe Christian Bale's in it.
Christian Bale is in it. Yes.
I heard he put on like what 3,000 pounds to play the Ford car in it.
He played the Ford car.
Yeah, he played the Ford Model T, whatever's in there. I believe that's.
I wouldn't put it past him. So Ford versus Ferrari. Like, what do you think about that?
It sounds like two cars I possibly can't afford.
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Well, I like the trailer. We talked a little bit last week. This movie is directed and partly written by James Mangold.
Of Logan.
Yeah, from Logan. He also directed
The Wolverine.
He also directed Wolverine. He also directed 3:10 to Yuma. I don't know. Have you ever seen 3:10 to Yuma?
I have three. It's like one of the last Western movies ever made.
Yeah, it was really, really good. He's a really quality director. He's really passionate about what he does. And this is a really interesting story. We talked about it a little bit last week. I don't think we need to talk about it too much, but in case you don't know, basically, the Ford Motor Company wanted to beat Ferrari in the race because Ferrari just kept dominating it every single year. You know, Ferrari was the equivalent of James Cameron. They kept raising the bar too much, and nobody could beat it. The Ford Motor Company basically decided they were going to try to make a car that was going to beat the Ferrari. And Christian Bale plays the racer that was in that race. And I believe Matt Damon plays somebody.
Yeah,
he plays somebody.
Matt Damon always plays Matt Damon, man.
Yeah, that's right. Well, since James Mangold's attached, and since I have all this kind of like talent surrounding it, how are you still not excited about this?
I'm just not excited at all. I'm not excited. I don't like racing movies because I just feel like they're all exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
It's just different story, pretty much the same thing going on, just cars racing.
Yeah, you know.
It's like watching NASCAR. I mean, it's like watching a 4-hour left turn. I mean, I don't want to watch. I don't go to the theater and watch that.
Nope. Well, I mean, judging from James Mangold's track record and all the cast and everything, I'm excited about it. I mean, granted, I don't know. I'm not going to be one of those people that says like you. I'm not bored by this trailer. I'm very excited about this trailer. I think it's a really cool story.
I'm bored by the concept.
You're bored by the concept. I'm excited by the people that got involved. Any final thoughts before we move on?
I don't want to watch it.
Heard that. Speaking about don't want to watch it.
Ad Astra.
No,
trailer.
it's Ad Astra, not Ad. Yeah, I thought you said Ad Astra.
Oh, although Ad Astra, I'm confused right now.
No, it's a movie called Ad Astra.
Ad Astra.
And we have a trailer for it.
And it looked boring. It looked very boring.
Yes. This movie right here, Ad Astra, not Ed Asner. Is Ed Asner even still alive? It's kind of a random question.
Ed Asner's alive. He's like 102, and he still does voiceovers and full acting work. I think I saw him in something
I thought he died. I could be wrong.
He is still alive. I saw
leave
him
in the comments. If you guys are watching, leave in the comments.
He was in something the other day, like that was like brand new TV show. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Ed Asner. He is still alive.
Well, they had to like wheel him out like he's on ropes and everything too.
I think he was at a DC. He was in one of those DC streaming shows.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's talk about this movie that's playing right behind us. So, Tyler, from my understanding, you did not like this trailer.
No, well, I don't like trailers for astronaut films in general. That's the second thing I don't like. I don't like car movies. I don't like astronaut films.
What do you like?
I like David Fincher films.
It's very small. Well, there's a bunch of rip-offs that you could probably go to, too.
Yeah.
But, so this movie, the reason we're talking about this movie, it came out, it's got Brad Pitt in it, it's got a really good cast, it's also got what's his name? Tommy Lee Jones. I was about to say Tommy Oldface, but yeah, it's basically the same thing. Yeah. But Tommy Lee Jones is in this, and basically, I'm not really sure about the plot, but what I do know is that this movie is based on a board game called Ad Astra. And I've never played this board game. I don't know what the board game is. All I know, it involves players and a plot. And basically, it's kind of like this. So this is technically a game movie, and we all know how great those turn out.
You remember Battleship?
Remember Battleship?
You remember Mastermind?
Oh, let me tell you right now, when I saw Rihanna in that movie, I knew she was going to have a very prosperous acting career.
I mean,
Yes.
that was her last acting role.
Oh,
Yes, it
yeah,
was.
yeah, it was her first and her last. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not really in the same boat as you. I don't think this is going to be like a horrible, miserable, like boring thing.
I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be well made, well directed. It's probably
That's a very Interstellar shot that we just saw right there.
It's
very
probably
Interstellar.
well made, but we're gonna have so much stuff from Interstellar, and it's gonna be awfully boring.
Yeah, so the reason I'm intrigued by it, I'm not necessarily excited, I'm intrigued. A guy named James Gray is directing it, and well, he directed it. The movie's already done. James Gray is he directed The Lost City of Z. You ever heard that?
Yes, I heard that. It's got the guy from the motorcycle show in it.
The motorcycle show in it.
Yeah,
yeah. Charlie Hunnam. It's also got Spider-Man in it.
So he plays an American, but everything he says is like British pronunciation of words. I remember that.
Yeah,
one.
he can't do an
Okay,
accent
the
for
Lost City of Zed. I'm like, hold on a minute.
Okay.
Pull it
The
back
Lost City of
here.
Zed.
You're an American. You just said Zed. Like, come on, man. Like, at least
You got
get into character.
You just got to have a little bit. Yeah, so that's James Gray right there.
Yeah.
There was one photo that he looked kind of like he was the guy from the Tim and Eric show. He looked like Tim Heidecker or something like that. Or
Yes, he does. He actually does look like that guy.
But anyway, yeah, that's I'm intrigued by that. I'm excited to kind of see what it's going to be. But I'm not like jumping out of my seat to try to go see it.
Do you think we're going to see a lot of what we saw in the what was the name of it? The one about
Interstellar, like you said.
No, the other Interstellar. Lord, I already forgot the name of it. The one that had
Matt Damon in it.
no, that had.
You're really running out of options here.
No,
We got to keep moving.
I got one more. We saw it last year. It
Oh my
had
goodness, that
Mormons
narrows it
in
down.
Space.
No.
We're going to see Mormons in Space.
Oh, the Mormons in Space movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's talking about First Man. No.
Oh.
But anyway, speaking about Mormons in space,
All right.
Django and Zorro are going to be in a movie together, apparently, according to an article I read. But it's also going around the internet. So this is a big thing. There's a comic book with Django and Zorro both together, and they fight bad people. And I think that's basically the plot, and there's some fun interactions between the two of them. But this is actually a comic book that's created by a guy named Gerard Carmichael. Do you know who Gerard Carmichael is?
No, I have no clue.
Gerard Carmichael, he's a comedian. He's a really funny guy. He had a show called The Carmichael Show for a long time. I thought the writing on that was really, really good, and he writes this comic book. Yeah, he's right there, Gerard Carmichael. And so him and Quentin Tarantino joined together and said, we should make a movie out of this. So in case anybody doesn't know who Zorro is, Antonio Banderas.
Oh, not just Antonio Banderas.
But he like the character in and of himself. Antonio Banderas probably does this on the side. He's like a vigilante that goes fights people and like puts a mask on with a sword.
He lives in California, like old California, back before the United States, California.
Yeah, so like right around the time that Django was doing stuff, Zorro was doing stuff. So
Yeah.
they found each other somehow.
Don Diego de la Vega. Everybody knows his name.
Yeah, so I don't know. The biggest thing with this is like, first off, I don't think this is ever going to get made.
If Quentin Tarantino's behind it, it will get made.
You sure? I don't know.
If Quentin Tarantino says, I want to make this film, they're going to be like, Mr. Tarantino, we will make this film. Quentin Tarantino goes, I will make a movie about a pack of playing cards, about people playing them. They'll be like, really? It's going to be 3 hours. They guess, here's our money.
And you have to, somebody call Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson. It's going to have Kurt Russell. I think Kurt Russell, baby Zorro. I'm not sure. No. Pull it back. It's probably going to be Robert Rodriguez. He's going to play Zorro.
That would be fun. He hasn't
Yeah.
been in one of his movies in a long time.
Yes.
Has he been in one of his movies?
He's been extras. He's been extras in some of his films.
Well, not the main.
Eli Roth is going to be in it too.
Okay, that would be fun. So the concept, I dig the concept. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm not really sure exactly how it's going to go to fruition. I like Django Unchained. I know you like Django Unchained too. By the way, fun fact: Tom Proctor, the one we talked to, he was in Django Unchained.
Yes, he was.
So final thoughts on this. I'm excited to see where this is going to go. I seriously doubt this is actually going to get off the ground anytime soon. But if it does, I'm very excited to see that. I don't know. Anything?
I would too, because I mean, if it gets off the ground, I do want Quentin Tarantino to make it.
Okay. Well, speaking about Gerard Carmichael, Wonder Woman 1984 is a movie that's coming out. And get this, someone went on Adobe Photoshop and made this. Apparently. Because, so this is a new poster for Wonder Woman, which isn't really much, but
Wonder Woman 2, the Electric Boogaloo, is that what it is?
It looks like the Electric Boogaloo. It looks like it's like that same color palette that everyone uses now, like especially DC. A different outfit that she's got on. Very very 80s looking. I mean, obviously it's 1984. But a big thing with this, they put this out because they said Warner Brothers is not going to be at Comic-Con this year, and they're not going to be talking about any of their movies and everything, probably because they're probably trying to figure out exactly how to make people like their movies.
Yeah.
But just aesthetically to the trailer, you like the poster? Not the trailer, the poster.
I'm not quite sure what they're advertising here. That's the problem.
This woman,
See, if
she's wonderful.
yeah, I mean, I know it's Gal Gadot, but like, how do I know that's Wonder Woman?
Because she played Wonder Woman.
Yeah, how it would be like, oh, this is another movie she's got coming out. How do I know that's Wonder Woman?
Because it's a W.
Well, I can't tell it's W. Maybe it's like it's that aesthetic design used to have in old movie theaters.
Well, Tyler is a contrarian. I thought this poster looked like a poster. It looks all right. Someone went into graphic design with it. Fine. I'm not sure if I'm really excited to see another Wonder Woman. I like the first Wonder Woman a good amount, but I mean, I think I'm a little bit more excited than I was when the first Wonder Woman came out. I wasn't excited at all about the first Wonder Woman. I'm a little intrigued now. I'm a little interested. But I don't know. You probably are a little bit more excited than I am about these kind of superhero movies and everything. Final thoughts, Wonder Woman 1984. Let's talk about the movie in general. Are you excited to see this movie, or are you just not really interested?
Oh, I haven't seen anything about the movie. I just seen like we had BTSs and stuff like that, but I've never really seen much about it.
Oh, and there's been photos came out. Chris Pine. It's been confirmed that Chris Pine's in it. He's back, even though he died in the last movie.
I mean, I'm gonna wait to say anything until I see a trailer.
Okay, cool. I'm excited to see where they're going to take it. Like you, had to reserve judgment for the trailer. But guys, in case you have any comments, questions, or concerns with anything that we talked about today, you can go to facebook.com/Studio67NCC. We would love to hear what you guys have to say.
Do you feel this is a very poor made trailer? Let us know.
Trailer poster.
Trailer ad for the poster.
By trailer ad, he means poster.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's really bad.
But guys, thank you so much for watching. We're going to take a really quick commercial break. When we come back, we have a really cool talk with Mr. Josh Schafer from Lunchmeat VHS Magazine. So stay with us.
When it comes to culinary arts, Nash Community College is here to turn your burning passion for food into a career. Our chefs, with over 70 years of highly qualified industry experience, are here to point you in the right direction, teaching and handing down classical culinary techniques that will improve your skills and help you cut your way into the food industry. Gain invaluable experience, vital to cooking and preparing delicious food, served in a personal and creative environment. To learn more about the Culinary Arts program, visit nashcc.edu.
Amazing. Guys, how you doing? This is Isaac Aloha Anderson.
I'm Tyler. I'm Keen.
They just keep going down every single time. You just stop doing the nicknames.
I've used every single possible combination.
You have. We've been doing it for about a year, so it's okay. But guys, thank you so much for coming back. I had the chance to sit down with Mr. Josh Schafer. In case you don't know who Josh Schafer is, Josh Schafer is a editor-in-chief of Lunchmeat VHS Magazine, a magazine that's dedicated to nothing but VHS culture and all the weird stuff that came out in the 80s and 90s with VHSs. So here's a really, really fun segment that we got to do with Josh. Thank you so much for Josh for sitting down with us. I'm trying to put Josh into every single sentence, Josh. But anyway, here's the clip. You guys enjoy. Hey everybody, I'm Isaac Anderson, and right here I have Mr. Josh Schafer. He's editor-in-chief at Lunchmeat Magazine, and he's just a genuinely cool dude. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, thanks. I'm doing good, man. All groovy today.
Awesome, awesome. And so Josh knows a lot about VHS culture, and that's something that that I'm also really fond of. But he absolutely has more in his head than I do. And we wanted to actually talk about that today. We wanted to talk a little bit about like the VHS culture and kind of how it kind of crept in, all the impact it had, and basically just how it influenced things today. So
Sure.
I mean, Josh, like, first off, what got you into VHS stuff?
Just growing up with it. I mean, I just grew up with VHS. I mean, going to the video store on Friday nights was like a family ritual. You know what I mean? Like, you would just get some pizza or some takeout food, and then you go out there and go to the video store and rent some movies, and that was your weekend. Like, you went home and hung out all weekend and like in the air conditioning and watched some movies, and that was life, and it was beautiful.
I had the same kind of experience. Like right when I was growing up, the video stores were kind of dying. But still, like I still remember going to the video store and getting all these kinds of things. And VHS is something that's very ingrained in all of us. And it's just something I don't know what it is about, like just seeing a VHS, like the grain and just seeing like the warble in it. Like I think it's called the wow with the audio, where it's going. kind of going up
Like
and
the
down.
bad tracking and everything.
It's just something about it. I don't know if it's just like us growing up with it, or like if it's just something inherently in the way it looks and the way it operates, like the physical rewind and fast forward, and I don't know. Like, why do you think people like it so much?
Well, I think, like you said, I think there's nostalgia involved, but also I think like those idiosyncratic aesthetics that like are attached to VHS. I mean, there's memories involved, but I also think like for a lot of low-budget movies, it kind of adds to the aesthetic. It adds to the experience of watching it. I feel like, let me see, I just watched The Howling on Blu-ray, and watching it on Blu-ray as opposed to watching it on VHS, it's like a very different experience. Now, The Howling's a wonderfully made film, but like the low-budget stuff, like it hides mistakes in a way. It kind of gives it this like this wash of grain, of like kind of this like this dinginess that like kind of adds to the aesthetic. VHS originally started out like, when we think of VHS tapes, or when people think of VHS tapes, I think they think of them like pre-recorded movies.
Yeah.
Like you go and grab like a, like Video Violence or like Forrest Gump or whatever.
We actually have a Video Violence thing right over here. Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Wonderful movie. But George Atkinson started a video store, and Magnetic Video was one of the first, where he got all those tapes in there and then started renting them out to people, and this was like a huge thing, that you could bring videos into, like you said, into your home and watch them anytime you please, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that totally just revolutionized the way people watch movies, because you weren't on somebody else's schedule. You weren't on a TV schedule, you weren't on a movie theater schedule. You could watch these movies anytime you wanted. And that was the part about the time shifting too, with like the VCR, like you could record your soaps, your baseball game, your favorite TV show, and then you could shift the time and watch it anytime you wanted, so it was super revolutionary.
Watch. Terrific! But suppose it's over 3 hours. Relax. Panasonic VHS tapes up to 4 hours of sports, movies, specials on one cassette. Wow.
But I mean, this also like had a big kind of impact as far as like independent filmmakers, like like lower budget stuff, and I think that's kind of like what you and I are very fond about. You know, I think I mean, considering you have like a whole company based on this kind of thing, I think you're probably a little bit more into it than I am. But I love it. I'm very fascinated by it. All these, specifically like these straight to VHS horror movies were like really big at the time. What's some big things that like really happened with the horror genre that you think VHS really helped?
Well, it gave people the ability to become a filmmaker. I mean, like you think of it this way. Usually, when you had to make a film, you had to have like, had to have a budget. Like you have to hire actors. You have to go to the Film Actors Guild and all this kind of stuff. You had to have all these processes. You have to have this huge budget. And then VHS came along, and then a home video camcorder came along, and then all of a sudden you can go to Sears, right, and buy a video camera for what, I don't know, like $400 or $300, and buy like 10 blank tapes. And you have a story, and then all of a sudden you can just make a movie in your backyard. And I think that's what revolutionized a lot of this stuff. Like a lot of this filmmaking came from like people making movies in their backyard with VHS tapes. You know what I mean? So it's like Video Violence is a perfect example.
The only thing we seem to rent are gory horror movies.
The big thing to do on Saturday night is sit in front of the tube and watch people getting killed.
He went for a horror movie, one, because it's cheaper. Blood's pretty, like fake blood's pretty cheap. And those movies do well. You know what I mean? Like horror movies do well. People want to watch those. They just automatically attracted to it. So I think like it totally revolutionized the way people made movies, because you could actually do it in your home. And it was just, it made it accessible to everybody. Like everybody could make a movie. So I think like that's the huge thing that VHS did, and especially with video stores, so it's like you make a movie on VHS, right? And then all you have to do is just edit it, put it together. It doesn't, I mean, some of these movies are absolutely horrible. Like there's no like skill involved, you know what I mean? It's just like a person with a video camera filming their surroundings with a little bit of a storyline and a lot of blood. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you make some artwork for it that looks insane. You make a title and boom, you put it out on the shelf, and it could be in your local video store just like that.
Like you mentioned, the artwork was a big thing, and you also mentioned how a lot of these movies, like some of them are like really awesome. Like a lot of cool things happen, but like all these independent filmmakers, there's like really no filter with it, and they basically just got to make whatever was in their head, just because they had a camera and they just went out there with their friends and they just shot it. Cool. But on top of that, there's a lot of garbage that gets out there. But a lot of people still kind of fell for this kind of thing because the artwork was so nice. And
absolutely,
yeah, like I think this goes without saying. The artwork is basically there to trick you into buying the movie. Like, I mean, that just goes for anything there.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, that's the communication that those movies have. You know what I mean? Like you're competing against all of these other titles, right? Like you're in a video store with, say, like 500 titles in it. So you want to make the most attractive, ridiculous, outrageous artwork because that's the one piece of communication that you have to get people to pick up your movie. And if you go up and like you see a really rad cover, right? And you're like, what is this? It's some dude with its head exploding with like, graves exploding behind it or something. And you're like, what is this? You pick it up and then it has like what, like a 100-word synopsis on the back?
Yeah, most likely with spaces too much in there, and it's like starring somebody that was in Star Trek, and Wilford Brimley shows up for 5 minutes, and we don't have him in the movie for the rest of the movie. Now he's a voiceover,
Right. Yeah, and it's like he's top bill, but he's only in there for 5 minutes. But it's all just kind of a gotcha. You know what I mean? It's like it's people. It's trying to get people to get through their door. You know what I mean? And I think like that's why, looking back, like retrospectively, a lot of the artwork and all that kind of aesthetic is why it's so huge. Is because this is what helped bring these movies into popularity. You know what I mean? It's more of the resounding. Like oftentimes the artwork is better than the movie.
That seems to be a really common thread. Like there was a really common thread I noticed like watching a lot of these movies is like the artwork will be really cool. Suppose it'll be like Alien versus Marine 7, or like I'm paraphrasing, of course, and it'd be like, the Marines are there, and it's like this alien's going down with a spaceship, and it's got this really awesome, like they're fighting in the background. The guy's super muscular, and you watch the movie, and it's like 5 minutes on a cheap set, and then 95% of the movie's them running around the woods.
Yeah, this is a great example of how like you hyperbolize something.
Yeah.
You take all of the elements that are good about something, and you smash it into one, cover art sandwich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even though like the entire film doesn't really reflect this kind of like excitement or kind of explosion,
it gets you excited.
It gets you excited about it, and I think that's the total purpose of that artwork, is to be like, wow, this looks really insane. I want to enter this world. But then you get to that world, you're like, this isn't what the brochure looked like at all. Like this isn't even in the movie. You got like ninjas and like exploding cars, and like you have like maybe one ninja and no exploding car. And you're like, oh well.
As far as kind of like how this affected people today, like we mentioned, like, a lot of these things went straight to the movie store, and they put them right next to all these things, and with really cool artwork, as far as kind of like that whole thing, that's not gone away. That's like, in a way, it's just changed mediums. Like, when the physical medium went away, we went to, like when VHS went away, we went to DVDs, and after DVDs, we went to digital. And now with streaming platforms like Hulu, Netflix, a lot of people, especially YouTube. YouTube's probably like, the new movie store, really. I mean, for independent filmmakers, and cameras have gotten a lot cheaper. They've gotten a lot, higher quality, and more accessible to people. And now people have the internet to kind of put it out so a lot of people can see. But how do you think like that VHS culture influenced, what we see now with the independent filmmakers as far as with the, streaming services and like people with ideas and putting it out on the internet? Like, how do you think that kind of originated?
I think, like I said, when you have VHS filmmaking, like shot on video, it was total freedom. You could do whatever you wanted. Like you have this very affordable thing that you can go out and make a movie, right? And that's kind of what YouTube is. That's kind of what like, your phone camera is. A lot of people record their stuff on their phone camera, right? And they upload it straight to YouTube. And so it's totally accessible right away. And see, like back then, it was accessible, but not as flooded as the internet. So like people could make, shot on video horror movies, shot on video like action movies, things like that. And there was an actual like distinct group of people that could see this movie at a video store, right? And then you upload stuff on YouTube, and then it's just, you could go viral, you could, but it's just like a wash of stuff all the time. But I mean, like I think it's the spirit of like, I'm gonna make this and put it out there for people. And like it's just about like how I feel and the kind of like passion that I have and the kind of things that I want to do with my time or with my art or my creativity. You know what I mean? And I think like that's the precursor. I mean, it's just giving people the accessibility to actually put themselves out there.
I think we can definitely see the echoes and like definitely the major influence. A lot of these filmmakers that we see now, like they started doing these kinds of things when they were, like teenagers in their backyard with a VHS camera, trying to do all these things.
Absolutely.
That's how I kind of started with getting interested in this kind of stuff. It's like, old VHS camera, trying to do all these kinds of things,
I mean, you got to start somewhere, man. And I think like, that it gives you a platform to start. You know what I mean? Like it gives you a platform to begin, and you don't really hop on like, you know, a high def, like, you know, $1 million camera right away. I mean, like that doesn't really happen. So I mean, like, yeah, it gives you an outlet to try to explore your own creativity and see what you can do, see what you like to do, see what works for you, see what kind of language that you can put into your art.
Yeah, kind of figuring out who you are as a filmmaker, really,
Right,
kind of figuring out
totally.
like that, and you know, and not having to wait for someone to tell you, hey, you can do this now. It's like you don't have to use that now. You basically can, you know, like you said, most people have, you know, cameras on their phones, you know, and
Right.
you know, that's just like a really cool thing. A lot of people like. There's no real excuses anymore. You can go make your movie, you know.
Totally.
And
I think like one more thing is like when, let's say you go to the video store, right, and you rent Crazy Fat Ethel 2, or you rent Video Violence, or you rent something like that, and you're like, wow, you realize that this movie was made on a video camera. You know what I mean? Like I can do this. You know what I mean? It's like when you go up and watch somebody's YouTube channel, and they're just talking into a camera or whatever, you're like, wow, I can do this. You know, it makes it like an accessibility and be like, you know, I can do this too. And I think there's kind of inspiration behind that, and there's a lot of like alignment there, where like you would go to a video store and see like these crazy cheap movies and be like, I can make a crazy cheap movie. I should just do it. And like the same thing when you watch a YouTube channel, like this YouTube channel is extremely popular. I can do this too. Yeah. So I think like that has some alignment there too.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for talking with us, man. We really do appreciate it. I've been looking forward to talking to you. I know you were super knowledgeable on the subject. I know you're very passionate about it.
Cool. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about like what you do. What is Lunchmeat?
So Lunchmeat is a print and online publication all about VHS appreciation, celebration, and preservation. So everything VHS culture, that's what I do. You know, everything to try to preserve it, to try to just champion it, to get people to look at it. You know what I mean? And then, you know, I release stuff on VHS. I've done like 50 or 60 limited VHS releases over the years. I throw shows, do VHS swaps, stuff like that. I'm doing VHStival, which will be at Alamo Drafthouse in Raleigh in August. That'll be a lot of fun. But basically everything, man. If it has to do with VHS culture, we're gonna cover it and we're gonna talk about it. And just trying to get people interested in it, because there's so much going on. There's so much art, there's so much culture, there's so much everything. From the past up until right now, people are doing new stuff. Like you said, my buddy who's putting, you know, new movies on VHS. I mean, like there's a huge swell of appreciation for the culture, and the culture just continues to expand. Everything from art to making movies to just history.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for being with us. Where can people find you? Like, where can people find Lunchmeat? Where can people find you online, social media?
Cool. Yeah. So if you just look up lunchmeatvhs.com or Lunchmeat VHS on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. If you just look up Lunchmeat VHS, you're gonna find it. So, and reach out to me, because I'd love to talk about tapes.
Heard that. Well, thank you again. I know I've said thank you like 17 times, but
oh, you're welcome. 17 times.
Back to the show. Or if you're watching this straight on YouTube, bye, I guess.
Later.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for watching that. We really do appreciate it. Next week, we're going to be talking about X-Men: Dark Phoenix.
The worst X-Men movie ever made.
Yeah, well, we haven't even seen it yet, but we just assume.
Supposedly.
I
heard Brett Ratner is just relieved because it's so bad.
Well, that's not why he's relieved. But guys, thanks so much for watching. My name is Isaac Aloha Anderson.
I am Tyler
Don't
Keith.
don't Google that. Stay lovely.